Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to brand new TAT Pod. I am your host, Ben, and today I'm joined by, again, the man with the best beard on the TAT Pod. That hurts me to say because I think I was number one until Craig joined. But
You
Craig,
should
how are
you
you
should have
doing, my
gone for
friend?
the Movember just to hide it for a month or so.
How
Thanks,
are you, mate?
thanks, Ben. I'm good, thanks, man. Yeah, it's great to be on. Thankfully, we're not talking about another Etihad loss, so good day ahead.
Absolutely. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into performances and the lineup and everything. But of course, you guys know by now, if you're regular viewers, please check out our amazing TAT Pod sponsors, yourfootcard.com. These guys are amazing, and they've got an incredible discount right now, running until Tuesday, I believe. Or no, it's the 27th, which is Monday, I think. So, no, it's Tuesday. Sorry. No, it's not. It's Monday.
Oh,
I just checked.
um,
I'm all
um,
over the place. It's the 27th anyway, which I believe is Monday. I thought it was Sunday for a moment. So if you guys want to take advantage of that discount, if you use Black Friday at checkout, just for this once, when that's over, use TAT Pod. But for now, use Black Friday and you will double your discount on any product on the site. You can get cards, you can get player art, you can get illustration for your wall, you can get absolutely anything. And I think they're going to send me some of their new products very shortly as well to show you guys. So yeah, like I say, take advantage of that. Brilliant company, brilliant people. They've
just in
really
time for
helped us
Christmas
out.
as well.
And exactly, get your Christmas orders in. The kids will absolutely love them. Yeah, let's get on with it. Let's start with this then, Craig. Let's talk about the lineup. This is how we always begin our TAT pods. As you can see, the lineup is on the screen now. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then you won't be able to see. But there was a lot, and I mean a lot, and this always happens with Liverpool fans on social media, Craig. There was a lot of chat about this lineup before the game, but I want to hear what your thoughts were. Forget about what happened in the game when you saw this lineup come out before the game. How was you feeling, mate?
I was happy, because I think me and you would differ on this, but like I'm a big Matip fan. So when I see that he's in the starting lineup, I think it's on merit as well. So I was delighted with him partnering Van Dijk. Think he deserves it in the moment. And then I think Jones and Jota are probably the other two that kind of are up for discussion. They'll always be up for discussion. Even if it's Gravenberch, even if it's Diaz, it's always going to be who should be starting, who should be in there. And I thought, Jones didn't have his best game in the end, but at the same time, I thought he deserved a chance in it. We haven't seen him since the Tottenham game in the league, and when we have played well this year, he's been brilliant. And I suppose he's kind of he's like our new Gini Wijnaldum in a way. I'd seen someone put that out there earlier on. He just gets slaughtered for having a very average game type of thing most of the time. But yeah, I was happy with him. And again, could have flipped a coin between Jota and Diaz. They bring you different things. And I think in a game like today, we needed to keep it really tight defensively. And Jota is probably a bit more tactically aware and that side of things. So I was happy with the lineup. And what was who was the chat around? I missed that myself.
So it was the one you were saying at the start. A lot of people were angry that it was Matip starting. And look, last season, my opinion on Matip, I've always loved him. I've always thought he's been brilliant. I thought last season he was a bit off it, of course, like everybody was. But this season, like you said, mate, he's starting on merit. Like, he's been better than Konate this season. That's just a fact. Like, I don't understand. Like, Konate is the upcoming centre-back. He's brilliant. He's fantastic. So we've got a long way to go. But I said it yesterday. I said it on a preview show. I think in these big away games, he's going to go with Matip for now. Because I think we saw it today. Matip was brilliant. He handled himself very well. I didn't really see anybody really get the better of him. He's obviously not best for pace, but he's got the instinct and he's got the know-how, which I think other defenders in the team might not be there yet. But yeah, for games like today, mate, when Matip plays, I'm more often than not, I'm confident and comfortable with him playing.
That's the thing. Like when he's on form and he's taking that ball out of defense, it's an amazing tactic when it works out for us, because usually when it happens, it means all the passing lanes are blocked. There is no pass out of defense, and he can just carry it up 50 yards. And when he's at his best, he does it so well. And I think that was one of our first chances in the game was him just striding it out of defense. I think he's been brilliant so far this season. And long may it continue. I hope it depends how the rest of the season goes, but I wouldn't be opposed to him getting a contract extension. I know he's pretty old and everything else like that, but at centre back when you're still performing. I think he's showing that he deserves one.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Because you don't know what the club are wanting to do with the centre back and maybe next summer, and you don't know what he's thinking. If an offer comes in for a team abroad or whatever, and he feels like the time's right, he might decide to move on. But as long as we probably get another one in, I wouldn't be opposed to him staying around. But I do think that would be, you'd have to go and get another one. But that's another conversation for another day, of course.
Exactly.
Let me get through some comments before we talk about other players. Michael says the back four were outstanding today. I thought massive point. All of them I thought were brilliant. Even Kostas Tsimikas, who has come under a lot of scrutiny from myself included, thought he was brilliant today. In fact, the worst player in the back five was probably Alisson Becker, and we'll get on to him in a bit. He did redeem himself a couple of times with a couple of vital saves. And we also need to talk about that potential injury that he's got as well. Ethan says it's not the best performance, but I'll take the point at the Etihad. Listen, Craig, we said it on a preview show. We never want to go into a game thinking, you know what, we'll just take a point here, because that's not our mentality. Yeah. We go into any game thinking we can win. However, I think the Etihad, Man City away, on the back of an international break at 12:30, a point, and I know there's different ways to get a point. You can be absolutely terrible and get lucky with a point, and I think this podcast might have been a bit different. But when you play well, because I thought we did in general, the game played well, and you fight and you go a goal down and you carry on fighting and you score the equaliser, I think a point at the Etihad, you take that all day long. You box the toughest game off of the season, and then we move.
Absolutely. Like, we're still. We haven't killed ourselves over the Chelsea point early on in the season, so I don't see why we do the same for City. After, like, you got to remember, was it 23, 24 games they're going for today, winning every single match they've won at the Etihad, not even a draw in the middle of that. So we put an end to that run. Yeah, we didn't get the win, but at the same time, we have to put a bit of respect on City's name too. We want to talk about the charges, everything else. Like, we can't get away from how good of a side they were. And that was one thing I was really impressed with today. Like, it seemed, what we kind of talk about Liverpool 2.0 reloaded, and it's kind of a bit like, maybe it's a bit back to Jurgen's early days of, like, really a lot of Gegen pressing and just going for it, hell for leather. But we showed a lot of control today, which I was really impressed with. Defense, like, I think we talked about the back four, but the forwards and the midfielders, especially on the right hand side, like how they doubled up on Doku all day long, was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, because the only time we looked kind of at risk, I think, in the whole game was in a transition, or when Alisson was having a few iffy moments. But, like, we kept, I think there was only maybe 3 or 4 transitions in the whole game, which was kind of in a way showing how boring the match was, but, like, how good the two sides were. That they were just not giving away stupid balls at any stage. There was no silly passes from anyone on either side. It was a really tight, like, really, really high level of football was out there today.
No, absolutely. 100% agree with you. I'm definitely happy with the performance, happy with the result. And like I said, that's the toughest game we'll play all season. So, point is not the end of the world. When you look at last season, we went there and got absolutely destroyed. The difference that we saw in the two performances is incredible for me.
Yeah, massive.
Am I lagging, by the way?
Huh?
Am I lagging?
Are you liking?
Connection laggy?
Oh, it was just a tiny bit there, like a minute or two ago. But no, it's been fine. I've heard you good. Like, we can't. We're not going to put ourselves down and say it's a great result, but at the same time, there's nothing to give out about coming away from the Etihad at one point. So definitely a job well done. And I listened to the preview show with was it Daps? Is his name? Like, that's going to be a killer for their confidence, in terms of they now know they have to come over to Anfield after only coming away with a draw at the Etihad. So, like, that's a big one for the rest of the season as well.
And I'm much more confident about that now. I honestly look at that performance today, and I'm thinking, if we can play like that at home, but obviously a bit better with those counter attacks, be a bit more sharper, a bit more polished, I think we'll beat them at Anfield. Honestly, that's how I'm feeling.
The crowd behind us. Like, exactly. Obviously, the crowd didn't help City at all today, and, like, I think I love when it was lovely to see the Sky they flipped the narrative onto City today, instead of attacking Klopp after the match they might have if it went to a 1-0 to City. They just gave Guardiola really annoying questions like, so what were you doing with the crowd? What were you getting at Nunes for? They didn't ask about football. They barely asked about football at all. They were just trying to get a reaction out of him. But yeah, the crowd, it was a shocking atmosphere. Obviously 12:30 doesn't didn't
It's
work out.
also just like it's just a terrible club. It just is. They're good because they got all this money. They got one of the best managers ever. But at the end of the day, we know why they're good. And when
Yeah.
you buy into a team like that, City used to have incredible supporters. They had some of the loudest fans in the country. They had really passionate supporters. The moment you become the club that they are today, that all goes. And as soon as they get whatever's coming to them, which that's all hope they do, they'll go as quick as they come. That's a fact. The local ones, the ones that go to the games, the ones that are passionate, and the ones that have been there since before the money, they'll obviously stay. They'll be there if they whatever happens. But the ones that have just recently came, mate, they'll be supporting Newcastle next season or the season after.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah. I hope my connection's good, by the way, because it's a bit stuttery for me. So if it's not great, I do apologize, but hopefully it will sort itself out in a minute. I saw a comment that I liked from Vase of Flowers. Big up Vase of Flowers, great name. He says, at the end of the day, City needed a mistake to score against us. This is absolutely spot on. They didn't show like their unbelievable class. They didn't outplay us. They didn't, do anything crazy. I know Nathan Ake turned into like Maradona against us, but it was just a terrible kick from Alisson. And then it was a lapse of concentration between Szoboszlai and Trent, I think. And then I think Alisson probably should have saved it as well. So again, we're not talking about Liverpool just being dominated or destroyed or anything like that. We're talking about a couple of players that if they were just a bit more switched on, Craig.
Yeah.
Today.
I want to give Alisson some kind of backup in it. Like I thought he was our worst player today, but at the same time, going into the game, I was like, Ederson, you know, Pep and Ederson, you little. I was going to curse there. You big bees, like, because they didn't have the long journey over to Brazil. He didn't have to play 2 games. You know, he didn't have the journey back and the jet lag and all that. So I was like, you saw maybe a little bit of sharpness difference in between the two, because we all know how good Alisson is, and he wasn't up to himself. So there has to be some reason behind why he wasn't on it today. And I'll put it down to the international break and traveling, because that missed pass should have at least gone up to Salah in his direction. It shouldn't have gone the way it did. And then we saw Ederson's that incisor right down the middle, which nearly tore the whole tore Liverpool apart at one stage. And like that
was brilliant.
It was amazing, wasn't it? Well, that was, in my mind, the differences. And Ederson made probably better saves in the end. Nunes forced more saves out of Ederson, I think, from maybe. I'm not sure which chances you'd say were better. I think like it was that type of game that they both sides had half chances. Both keepers did well with their saves. But no, Alisson, that wasn't his only moment as well. You know, there was one earlier on, at least, 2, which again, we were playing really well, controlling the ball, and it was a little Alisson mistake that put us under pressure. That ball to Foden, that was it. You know, so like that was a bit hard to take when like your Salah or your Van Dijk or your Alissons aren't 100%. It's a bit annoying. You can kind of scapegoat the other guys a bit easier, maybe.
Yeah, of course. And I saw a lot of people moaning about Trent at halftime. A lot of people obviously were talking about their own individual players that they have their own little agendas for. And I did a tweet about this, and we'll skip on to the Trent goal, to be fair, because we just talked about the Haaland goal. We'll talk about Trent's goal, and we'll bring it back to individual performances. But
even the Haaland goal, I think Szoboszlai was more at fault than Trent as well.
Me too. Yeah. I think he wasn't great defensively today at all. I think he could have done a lot more, but
he just dived in. He gave him that inside channel, which is annoying. But anyway.
Yeah, for the Trent goal, mate, I honestly, like, there's a reason why when everyone piles it on Trent, and you know when things aren't going well, it's because it's all Trent. It's because Trent's playing inverted. It's because Trent's doing this. It's because Trent's doing that. But I know Trent well enough now to understand that when Liverpool need players to pull the socks up and turn up and do something big, Trent Alexander-Arnold will always be one of the players that does it. And a lot of people are just going to make themselves look stupid, because time and time again it happened. You look at the season where we went into lockdown, there was like a 10-game spell at the end of the season where we needed to be pretty much perfect to get top 4. He pulled his socks up. Absolutely phenomenal. Last season as well. Obviously, we didn't get top 4 last season, but we needed our players to start turning up. Trent was one of the main players that thought, you know what, we're better than this. Let's do this. And, so far this season, he's not got the numbers to back up, how good he might have been. He's obviously not going to get as many assists if this is his new role. But I think the stuff on Trent is way overdone in myself. And he's obviously playing this role because he's been asked to. I don't think he probably wants to play more central as well, I guess, because he probably does see himself as a midfielder. But I honestly think it's been way overdone. And games like today, when Trent scores I almost said the winning goal, then it was good enough to be a winning goal. The first touch that he takes is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. Then the strike to put it in the bottom corner. And then he goes and shushes the Manx who had been singing Feed the Scousers all game, apparently. So, yeah. So it was just poetic justice for me, mate.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think, you see the conversations go and you're wondering, are people even watching the game half the time, or are they just taking some kind of clickbait headline or stat or something and just running with it? Because I don't know if anyone watched the game today. We could all say he trended amazingly well up against Doku on a one-on-one occasion, but at the same time, what the criticism that Trent came in for last year, we saw the team cover that brilliantly today. So like every time Doku got the ball out in the left, pretty much every time, like, so when it was coming from just kind of like a normal setup kind of play from a goal kick, that type of thing, it wasn't broken play. We got our second man over there, whether it be Matip, whether it be these McAllister, sometimes Jones is over there as well, but we always got a second man over there to help Trent, because Doku was always going to be cutting in. He was always going to cut in, and there's no stopping him. You just need somebody else there. So yeah, Trent was happy to let him do that. I don't know how many times in the end. They say he got dribbled past 11 times or something like that, which is just like, that didn't happen. Like those weren't dribble past. No. That's him going inside.
It's the same with Darwin Núñez for me. At half time, someone was trying to tell me that Darwin Núñez missed 4 big chances. He didn't. There was one big chance he had, and that was the header, which he did really well to even make a chance from that header. So it's like you say, mate, people have these weird agendas and they look at numbers and they look at stats and they just try and flip it. I 100% agree with that Doku thing. He looked great on the ball, don't get me wrong, and every time he did get the ball, I had that sort of, do you remember when Leroy Sané used to play against us? And so worried about that's what I felt like today. Yeah, but like you say, none of the runs he went on, none of the touches he took ever led to anything. Maybe once I think he got past Trent, and I was actually like, oh, we're in trouble here. But yeah, they all, Matip, Trent, because that was the side they went on, and of course they're going to go that side, because the other side they got Virgil van Dijk, and again he was brilliant again today. So they were inevitably going to go down that side. That is the weak spot, and I just don't understand. When these people, it was the same against Brighton with Matoma. They're like, oh, Matoma's going to cook Trent, or oh, Doku's going to cook Trent. When it's the other side and that doesn't happen, you need to speak and say, you know what, I was a bit harsh on Trent, and next time I'm going to keep my mouth shut, because every time he's come up against a winger like that this season, in fact, the only one that's caused him trouble was Anthony Gordon against Newcastle. Apart from that, I think he's been pretty fine.
No, so he has.
Shut up and respect him a bit more, I think.
Exactly, but also, and they're not looking at the system and the way it's played as well. Like, Klopp was banging on about this last year, and it kind of ties into McAllister as well. So like, what he said about, McAllister can play 6 if we're compact. Today we were so compact. Yeah, that the midfield, the forwards they really made the pitch small, and we didn't look like we didn't have a natural 6. It didn't look like they were overrunning us at any stage, and that was just because the whole team was playing well together. If the team isn't compact, Trent will be exposed. That's a fact. Yeah. But and that's just the way it is, and that's not his fault. All the time. You'd love him to be a one-man tackling machine like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but unfortunately, he can actually play football as well and has to do that side of things. So he's not just going to sit back and stay safe in the safe right back zone and just protect it at all times. So yeah, no, it's totally over the top. It's getting boring, at this stage, kind of just the microscope he's under, and just he's just doing it. Just keep doing what he's doing, because he doesn't let it get to him. You can see him have a bad 5 minutes and then turn it around. We talked about it before. His mentality is amazing. He's got such a strong mentality to turn a bad performance around mid-game, or even come away with the massive criticism he does one week and then turn it around the next week. So like, yeah, I'm sure he's going to be fine. I'll let them away. It's annoying. It's a bit of a distraction at times. But in fairness, you got to look at the two players and say, yeah, okay, Trent and Doku both played well. And I think Trent actually came out on top because he did pocket him quite a lot of times, and then whenever he seemed to be in control of him most of the other times. The only other, and then when he wasn't was when on a breakaway. Like when City were breaking, we gave the ball away stupidly, and we didn't have that second man there. And that happens. That will happen. Like that's what teams are trying to do. They're trying to create breakaways, and neither team did it that well today, which is a testament to both of them.
No, of course. And I just want to talk about McAllister because there's been a few comments asking about what we thought of McAllister's performance, and yeah, I was really pleased with him. Like you say, I think we helped him out today. We didn't really leave him stretched and exposed. I think when the criticism has come from McAllister, it's been when he's been sort of left on his own. And when you've got like a Fabinho there, that's fine because they can destroy, like, the whole term destroyer. That's okay. But when it's somebody whose game is not based around that, I think it's a whole lot harder. And I think the midfield, it wasn't great. Like Curtis Jones wasn't great. Szoboszlai, it was okay, nothing special. But I think, like you say, that the whole point of today's sort of midfield performance was sort of be more close, be more compact, be more of a unit. And I think when you are playing in that way, that's only going to help McAllister because, like we say, he's not a traditional six. There was that chance where Doku was clean forward and he tried his hardest, bless him, to catch up with him, give him a bit of pull. Wasn't enough. Fortunately, it didn't lead to anything else.
It was just you could see him thinking. You could see the thought process going into his head as he just kind of like, no, I better not.
Yeah. But on the ball, mate, I don't think anybody could ever really have a bad thing to say about him. He's brilliant, isn't he, when he's got the ball at his feet?
No, like I think this is something I got confused a little bit in the summer. You're like, oh, maybe in the big games you might want that destroyer 6 in there, and maybe thought that maybe McAllister wouldn't play some of the larger games type of thing. But Klopp was saying there during the week, and you've mentioned it before, like having a ball player at 6 makes a big difference as well, though, because you can start attacks from deep, with incisive passes. I think the first time we showed kind of slight impetus going forward all came from McAllister breaking away from a tackle and slipping the ball between two players, and like that's what we needed. We needed to break their press, and that was one of the first times. Fabinho wasn't much of a press breaker. He wasn't going to do it dribbling. Passing wise, even that was a bit suspect at times. But whereas McAllister, even his winning, those kind of winning passes when you're kind of intercepting and you just kick it first time, like just to break away, like he did one of those straight to Salah, and it's like that's the kind of go forward ball you need. Like you're not just winning it back, taking a touch, slowing it down. He's just smashing it forward and with accuracy. And so no, I thought he did very well, and he, if he can just keep playing as well as he did on the ball today, then I think we'll be laughing. And as long as the rest of the midfield does the work, Nunes drops back, Salah drops back, to help with the defensive side of things, I think he can play there quite a bit. And I don't think we'll notice that we don't have a traditional 6.
No, absolutely. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't think what will come in January. I think a lot of people are hoping that there's going to be some sort of big money 6 or whatever. There was a lot of talk about Andre, which has been put to bed. But it seems like Klopp's happy with this. We've got McAllister, we've got Endo, and hopefully soon we've got Stefan Bajcetic coming back. Is that good enough to win a title? That remains to be seen. But yeah, I think it's okay. Ideally, I think we would all
just to jump into that, like people thought that I've heard one of the tacticos saying you'd be crazy to go to the Etihad without a traditional 6. That was the conversation going on beforehand. Is like Liverpool, they're not going to win the league because they don't have a 6. They're not going to get anything out of the Etihad because they don't have a 6. And it's like, did anybody notice that at any point today that McAllister was not a 6 or anything like that? Not at all.
This comment sums it up. We got a point versus City at Etihad without a destroyer, but last year with a destroyer, we lost 4-1.
There you go.
So It's not the yes. It's look. I don't like this term destroyer because what does that mean? Does that just mean someone 6'4" who's got long legs who can just make tackles? Because if that is, then fine. Yeah, go and sign João Paulinho. If that's going to be all we need, go sign him. And that if what you're saying is a destroying six makes us win the league, then yeah, go sign him for 40, 50 million, and then we win the league. Right? That's how it works, Craig.
Simple, easy. I forgot to do that. Sorry. We should just rewind to the summer.
Yes, I'm happy with players that can play football because I think that has been a part of our downfall in recent seasons. Nothing against the midfielders that all left, but you look at Fabinho, who was quite good with the ball, but Henderson and people like that. Yeah, some games you just look at them and think we're just missing that little bit of something else, and we've got it now. Granted, we might be a bit more open in midfield. Not it should be fine. It should be okay. I want to discuss. I want to talk about the front three for a moment because we've spoken about the defense, we've spoken about midfield. Let's speak about the front three, mate. There's a lot of conversation about who should start today. I honestly thought Gakpo was going to start because obviously Nunes played, I think, 2 full 90 minutes for Uruguay, and I think in times before we have rested Nunes on the back of an international break. But I want to talk about the front three as a unit today. We had so many counter-attacks. And we can't just keep comparing our front three to Mane, Firmino, Salah because that's just stupid. That's the best front three we're ever going to see at Liverpool, in my opinion. But so many of those attacks today, Craig, I was thinking back, if we had those guys, we're probably scoring from at least one or two of them. But today it felt like, even when Diaz came on, it felt like everything was a bit rushed and a bit, I don't know, it just felt a bit not
lacking in confidence, maybe. Yeah, I thought at times as well, like it's like, oh, here's a chance, on the breakaway, and just look like a bit of indecisiveness, or what seemed to me like they didn't believe that they were going to go up there and put it in the back of the net, at times, which is tough because like going into the game, what I would love, and I think what most Liverpool fans would love, kind of. We want to go back to that Champions League tie with City where we just showed them absolutely zero respect. Pressed them from the get-go and just attacked at every chance that we had. But like we played a mature game today. But it seemed like they were just a bit worried about losing the ball in a dangerous position themselves. And that's you could put it down to just not playing well. City played well in defense as well. But you're right. No, I thought we let a few too many counters go. But the midfield were involved in that as well. I thought Szoboszlai, tried to rush a counter. She could have cut it back into midfield. Jones kind of slowed down a counter as well. And yeah, no, I don't know. I thought they weren't great, but at the same time, I think they were putting in a defensive workload as well. So like I think if you can give them a lot of merit for how they played defensively, maybe just not what they're doing going forward.
Yeah, and I just want to talk about this as well. Faraz says, I hope Alisson is okay. Obviously, Alisson held his hamstring and seemed to be in a lot of discomfort. We don't know the extent of what happened, but there was no subs left when this happened. Maybe this would teach Klopp a bit of a lesson to leave one sub just in case. But yeah, thankfully there was only 2 minutes, Craig. But when we had the ball in their half and we were going for the winning goal, I was just thinking, oh my God, what if there's a counter attack and Alisson needs to be out of his box and we can't do anything? So thankfully, I think the referee, by the way, felt a bit sorry for him because literally as soon as it got to that amount of time, he blew his whistle. He didn't let him have another attack. But we need him, don't we, Craig? We need Alisson to be back and we need him to be ready. Obviously, he's probably going to not play against Lask, regardless of if he's okay or not. But for that Fulham game, for Man United, for West Ham in the quarterfinal, potentially.
When you hear hamstring,
Arsenal, all these big games going up. Yeah.
When you hear hamstring, it's always worrying, and so there's just a bit like all of us are kind of hoping because he's a keeper. That's maybe the hamstring issue won't be the same type of problem it is for other players. But even then, like, no, if it is a muscle injury, I'd be quite worried, especially after we did the review show the other day. And was Caven Keller the only player in the in the bottom rank, or did we put anybody else in there?
I think there might have been. Yeah, I think it was just Gallagher actually.
Yeah, so like we
Right,
aside anyway, no, this it would be the worst. The worst thing from the day would be Alisson's injury. If especially if even if he misses one match, it's not great, type of thing. So, but at the same time, he was lucky, like it's if you're going to go in on Alisson any day, today's the day, because like that goal that was disallowed, yes, it's a free, but at the same time, he got a bit lucky there. He should be stronger. Like it shouldn't be that easily dropped out of his hands at all. So no, again, some good saves too, but wasn't his best day. So I think he'll hopefully forget about it soon.
Yeah, and let's talk about the decision as well, because there's a lot of discourse about the goal that they got disallowed. But I thought it was absolutely the correct decision, because the ball, if you watch it back, the ball is coming straight into Alisson's hands. He's got his hands up in the air. The ball's coming straight into his hands. Akanji has no eyes on the ball. He is only there. His only intention is to knock Alisson off balance, to make him drop the ball. He's not gone for the ball. The ball is going nowhere else but Alisson's hands. So, okay, a year ago, maybe you'd get away with that and people would say that's soft. But Craig, I've seen this happen so many times this season where players have gone into goalkeepers and goals have been disallowed. But obviously, because it's Liverpool and it's against Man City, there's this whole big thing about it. But if the rule is, if you can't like knock a goalkeeper without either going for the ball or trying to win the ball, then it's a foul. And it put Alisson off balance. It made the ball, it made him drop the ball. So for me, it's the right decision. And I don't see how anybody can be too upset about it.
No, yeah, no, I think it's definitely the right decision. It's just, I think where the questions will come in is the amount of force that was put into it. I saw someone compare it to the goal that Arsenal haven't stopped talking about for Newcastle, when Gabriel was pushed in the back, and like at the end of the day, he's a keeper. He had his hands on his arms. Like that's a foul. You like, there's no reason for him to be putting his hands on his arms. And he wasn't challenging, as he said, he wasn't challenging for the ball. He wasn't going for anything there. It's a stupid comparison. But here, what's great about that is that's the most controversial thing from the day. There was actually, we usually spend most of the time talking about terrible referee decisions, and they like, the game wasn't that end to end, so maybe that's why there wasn't that many kind of big decisions to make. But Kavanagh did well. There was no controversy. Let's, I suppose, try and highlight that when that does happen every now and again.
Yeah, exactly. I thought he had a good game. Yeah. There's nothing that I've fuming about today. But we are going to wrap up shortly. I feel like we'll just make this one a bit shorter. But before we do, this is how the Premier League table stands, Craig. After 13 games, obviously Tottenham yet to play, which means we could be fourth by the time they have played their game. But the key point is that we are, and you could think differently to me, but the only team I'm thinking of is Man City, to be honest. Yeah. We are only 1 point behind Man City. Maybe that's a bit disingenuous to Arsenal, but I'm not bothered.
Yeah,
we're 1 point behind City, 2 behind Arsenal, and we've played a lot of tough away games already this season, so we've got to be happy with the start, right? Maybe a few more draws than we'd have hoped, but that's football.
Yeah, no, it's a brilliant start. Like we've come across some really tough opposition. Like, yeah, we're all kicking ourselves about Tottenham, and everything else like that. But if we'd be unbeaten without this, I hate saying it, because we did lose the match to Tottenham. But at the same time, if this absolute joke refereeing display never happened, we could still be unbeaten in the league, which is not something that many people got to say after 13 games, especially in a transition year and all that type of thing. This is an amazing start for this team, and they just need to just keep the heads calm, I suppose. What I've noticed, you see, there was a Salah interview, and he's talking about Szoboszlai, where he's like, we just need to not try and talk about him in that regard just yet. Let him play his ball. and to an extent, I don't want Szoboszlai to think he's the next Steven Gerrard just yet. I'd love there to be a bit more evidence to what this team's done before we start like lauding the players into these kind of areas. So like there's a long way to go. There's a lot to be excited by. But I think it's going to be the Lutons, it's going to be the Nottingham Forest that decide our season. Unfortunately, I think we've got enough in us to take down most, every team in the top six, especially at home. I think we'll win all those games. Where I'm worried about is the mindset towards some of the smaller teams.
No, I agree, and I think if I just do this. This is a pivotal period coming up for us now, and this will tell us a lot of where we are. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of juggling with the team, and players are going to be resting here and there. But we've got Lask in the Europa League coming up on Thursday night at Anfield. Should be a pretty comfortable win. And then it really starts. We've got Fulham at home on the 3rd, Sheffield United away on the 6th, and then Palace away on the 9th. So that's 3 games in the space of a week. And then we've got the Europa League again, which hopefully will be dead rubber. So if that is dead rubber, as long as we confirm top spot, because that means you missed the round of 32 in the Europa League if you get top. So as long as we've confirmed top, I would literally go with like the youngsters that, I'm talking Oaks, McGonagall's, whatever his name is. All those guys, I would play them. And then United. And then if we go past United, this is where it really gets interesting. United at home, West Ham at home in the quarterfinal, and then Arsenal at home. Craig, this Christmas period is brutal, but if we come out of it in flying colours, mate, who knows what could happen to this Liverpool team this season.
That's it. I remember coming out of a Christmas period before, very, very happy, and it went on to be great things afterwards. So
when we beat Leicester 4-0.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That was Club World Cup, Leicester 4-0. Oh.
It was a great old time. So I'm hopeful. And it's a great time of the year for everyone. And like I'm excited because I don't know about you. I was buzzing last night just to have a bit of football back. And
yeah, me too.
So the big games over the Christmas period, it's going to be tough, but I'm really excited. It's going to be a brilliant time for those matches.
No, absolutely. And guys, we'll be here as ever to preview them and react to them. Obviously, some games, there won't be previews because it's just like trying to get a panel together in a week. And then for all these games, it's very difficult, but we will bring them whenever we can. So make sure if you haven't already, you've subscribed to the channel, leave the notifications on so you can see whenever we're going live. Obviously, follow us on Twitter, which I'm assuming every single person watching these videos do anyway. But make sure you follow us on there because, again, we tweet out when we're going to go live. And yeah, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you probably Thursday evening to react to the last game. So take care and goodbye for now.
Peace and love.